Beneath Ghana's economic progress lies a troubling environmental and social crisis. The rise of illegal mining, known locally as galamsey. As thousands turn to this unauthorized mining to escape poverty, entire ecosystems are eroded, rivers are poisoned, and communities face unrelenting hardship. Recently, people across Ghana have united in protest to demand urgent action, with environmental activists, students, and local leaders calling for a crackdown on galamsey. In this video, we'll explore the staggering impact of galamsey on the environment, the hardships it has created for communities, and the rising demands for reform to protect Ghana's future. The term galamsey originates from the phrase "gather them and sell," showing us the informal nature of illegal mining activities. With little more than basic tools, individuals and small groups extract gold from the earth, typically in rural areas where other economic opportunities are scarce. Many of these communities are in Ghana's gold-rich regions, where rural poverty pushes people toward galamsey as a quick source of income. The income from galamsey can be significant, especially compared to subsistence farming, making it an attractive option. It is estimated that about 300,000 to 500,000 Ghanaian artisanal miners work without an official license, or illegally, and they have contributed about $461.1 million to Ghana's economy since 1989. However, the immediate financial gains are offset by the heavy toll illegal mining takes on local communities and the environment. It has essentially become a double-edged sword, offering short-term economic relief while causing long-term destruction to the very land these communities depend on. Environmental degradation is one of the most visible and devastating effects of galamsey. Forests are rapidly being cleared to access mineral-rich soil, stripping away natural vegetation and leaving behind barren landscapes. Thousands of hectares of fertile land and forest reserves have been destroyed due to illegal mining. Based on analysis of data from 2001 to 2015, Ghana's annual deforestation rate was approximately 3.51%, equating to yearly losses of greater than 315,000 hectares. In Ghana's western region, once thriving forest reserves and cocoa farms are now bare, scarred by deforestation. Deforestation destabilizes soil, leads to erosion, and disrupts ecosystems that are essential for biodiversity. In areas where galamsey is most concentrated, reports indicate that as much as 34% of Ghana's forest cover has been affected. The Ghana Forestry Commission reported the destruction of an estimated 4,726 hectares of land due to illegal mining. This loss of forests has broader consequences for climate resilience and local rainfall patterns, and it undermines efforts to preserve biodiversity within these ecosystems. The environmental impact of galamsey is increased by widespread water pollution, affecting major rivers like the Pra, Ofen, and Birim, which were once essential resources for local communities. These rivers are now contaminated with mercury, cyanide, and other toxic chemicals used in mining. Mercury, which miners use to separate gold from ore, is a particularly dangerous contaminant. It lingers in water sources, posing serious risks to both human and environmental health. The Ghana Water Resources Commission reports that mercury pollution has rendered over 60% of the nation's water bodies undrinkable. This impacts entire regions that previously relied on rivers for drinking water, farming, and fishing. Fish populations in these rivers have plummeted, affecting both the local diet and the fishing industry, and mercury has started to accumulate in crops irrigated with polluted water. Over time, these toxins enter the food chain, increasing health risks for communities and creating a public health crisis. In farming communities near mining areas, soil degradation has made large tracts of land unsuitable for agriculture, forcing farmers to abandon their crops and, in some cases, leave the land entirely. This displacement threatens food security, as farmers struggle to produce viable crops and often lose a critical income source. Cocoa production, a significant part of Ghana's economy, has been hard hit, with reports from the Ghana Cocoa Board estimating that more than 19,000 hectares of cocoa farmland have been lost to Galamsey. The loss of arable land for other crops, such as rice, has similarly affected local food availability and income, leaving farming communities with fewer resources. Health risks are rising too, with respiratory illnesses and skin conditions becoming more prevalent in communities exposed to the dust, chemicals, and contaminants associated with mining activities. Galamsey operations often lack even the most basic safety protocols, leaving miners highly vulnerable to fatal accidents. A particularly devastating incident in Dunkwa-on-Offen's central region highlighted this danger, where a catastrophe hit the people of the central region, and numerous people were buried in a Galamsey pit when it caved in near the Offen River. Over 100 miners perished in that single disaster. Amid this environmental crisis, protests against Galamsey have intensified, gaining attention across Ghana. Recently, large-scale demonstrations led by groups like the Democratic Hub took place in the capital, Accra. Participants carried banners, chanted slogans, and demanded an immediate crackdown on illegal mining. Protesters highlighted the widespread damage to water sources, deforestation, and loss of farmland, calling for government accountability and immediate action to protect Ghana's natural resources. The protests have gathered thousands of supporters, including students, activists, and environmental advocates. They were all united under the message that Ghana's resources and future cannot be sacrificed for illegal mining profits. The government's response to these protests has also brought its own challenges. In September, Ghanaian authorities arrested over 50 activists participating in peaceful demonstrations against Galamsey, sparking additional unrest. The detention of these individuals fueled a further outcry, leading to a 3-day vigil organized by advocacy groups under hashtags like We're Free the Citizens and Say No to Galamsey. As public pressure mounted, most of the detainees were released on bail. The protests have also inspired social media campaigns that have gained traction among Ghanaians at home and abroad. Across X and Instagram, individuals from the Ghanaian diaspora have joined in, sharing updates and voicing their support for a crackdown on illegal mining. These social media efforts have amplified public awareness, uniting diverse voices against Galamsey and calling for stronger policies to safeguard the environment. Through these demonstrations and public campaigns, the demands for reform are becoming harder to ignore. Activists are pushing for more robust enforcement measures, stronger environmental regulations, and long-term solutions to support communities affected by Galamsey. Their calls have gained support from influential environmental groups, prominent figures, and community leaders, who argue that the government must take decisive steps to address the environmental, health, and economic damage caused by illegal mining. To respond to the widespread protests, Ghana's government has increased its efforts to crack down on Galamsey. Task forces have been deployed to dismantle unregulated mining sites, often seizing equipment like excavators, water pumps, and other machinery used in mining operations. These actions aim to disrupt Galamsey, but the effects are often temporary. Many mining activities resume soon after enforcement officers leave, as Galamsey is a lucrative alternative for individuals facing limited job opportunities, particularly in rural areas. While these temporary crackdowns attempt to control the situation, they reveal a significant challenge. Illegal mining won't be stopped by short-term measures alone, especially given the substantial financial incentives for those involved. Facing this complex situation, the Ghanaian government has also moved to address legal loopholes that have allowed certain mining activities to persist. Recently, the Attorney General took steps to revoke Legislative Instrument 2462, a controversial regulation that had permitted mining in forest reserves, including areas rich in biodiversity. The proposed revocation has stirred up debate on Ghana's legal landscape, raising questions about Parliament's role in revoking and enforcing such policies. Some legal experts argue that effective environmental protection requires both clear policies and the authority to uphold them, as well as clarity on the powers that Parliament and government agencies hold over environmental legislation. Environmental advocates argue that while such actions are essential, they only scratch the surface and lack the consistency needed to bring lasting change. Public demand for action has continued to rise, and Ghana's government isn't the only voice calling for reform. Local leaders, environmental groups, and even labor organizations have taken a strong stance on the issue, emphasizing that the government needs to act decisively to protect both people and the land. The Ghana Federation of Labor, a prominent national trade union, recently threatened to strike if stricter measures aren't implemented to protect communities impacted by Galamsey. Many community leaders argue that true reform can only happen if local voices are brought into the conversation and included in decision-making processes. Looking forward, Ghana's approach to illegal mining will need to go beyond shutting down individual mining sites and issuing bans. Experts emphasize that sustainable, long-term solutions are essential for lasting change. Many suggest that international partnerships could play an important role in Ghana's journey to a more sustainable future. Financial support and technical expertise from global allies could help Ghana develop projects that address both environmental recovery and economic stability. Potential projects include land restoration initiatives to reclaim deforested areas and clean up polluted water sources. International funding and guidance could also support the creation of job opportunities outside of mining, providing economic stability for those who rely on Galamsey and incentivizing a shift to more sustainable livelihoods. One of the most hopeful possibilities is to use advanced technology for tracking and regulating resource use. Partnering with international environmental agencies, Ghana could implement satellite monitoring systems to track land degradation, deforestation, and water pollution in real time. This data could help authorities detect illegal mining activities early and respond more quickly. International partnerships could also assist Ghana in developing and enforcing stricter regulations that prevent illegally mined minerals from entering global supply chains, effectively discouraging Galamsey by cutting off its profitability. The struggle to end Galamsey represents more than a battle against illegal mining. It's a quest to secure a sustainable, prosperous future for Ghana's people. By protecting natural resources, Ghana is investing in the health, food security, and heritage of future generations. As Ghana stands at a critical turning point, will these efforts finally bring the lasting reforms needed to overcome Galamsey? Subscribe for more insights into Africa's pressing issues and share your thoughts in the comments. What steps do you think are essential to create lasting change in this fight?